You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Our final intercontinental show before the show podcast until the first week of November. Hi, everybody. My name is Tyler Munn. Sam Dykstra is in New York City. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Tyler. How are you doing?
I'm great.
How was Milan?
I actually lied. It won't be intercontinental the first week of November. It'll be intercontinental like the second week of November. Milan is fantastic. I am currently sitting at a hotel. You can tell I'm on European Wi-Fi because I opened my email account 8 minutes ago when we started recording this, and actually I guess it was longer than that, and it just finished loading all of my emails. So I'm definitely on European Wi-Fi. But no, it's great. I am finally headed back to the good old US of A tomorrow. Sounds from everything I see in the headlines and on the social media, there's really nothing going on. Really nothing going on over there. So that's good. The minor league season is over. The Arizona Fall League season has started. Major League Baseball playoff spots being clinched left and right. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah,
also,
that's what we're all talking about
here. Yelling in a
here.
hotel room now. They're all probably pounding on the walls soon.
The only thing we've been talking about all week over here is that AL wildcard race.
Totally. It's got to be, right?
Potential for a three-way tie. I mean, trying to figure that out, it's like trying to figure out the emulance clause. You know, you can debate it until you're blue in the face, but it's fun time for baseball, and we'll leave it at that.
I am excited to get back and at least catch some postseason baseball very soon. Which is they're starting the playoffs like basically right upon my return, which I assume is just because of my return. They're like, well, he's back. Let's jump into postseason play. Yeah. I think that's got to be.
That's what we've all been missing out on. Is just your presence.
Something like that. Congratulations to the first Olympic qualifiers, not from the host nation Japan. Israel is headed on to the Olympics in 2020. That was the most recent thing that I was working. Whole bunch of former prospects, minor leaguers, major leaguers as well. There are some guys on the Israel roster who rolled through the Europe and Africa qualifier here in Italy last week, 2 weeks ago now, whatever it is, and are on their way to the Olympics. But I was actually messaging throughout the Europe and Africa qualifier with Jonathan Mayo of MLB Pipeline, who was telling me, about all of his guys who he has worked with and loves on that team, and was very excited for. They are on to the Olympics in 2020, which is crazy. So congratulations to those guys, all of the former and current prospects who have found their way somehow onto an Olympic baseball roster, which is very, very cool. But that means that I am almost back in the old home country, and that means much more normal record times for me and Sam. Most exciting thing. Also, an update. I said that it had finished loading all of my emails, and now it says updating inbox, 2 minutes remaining. So, still, I haven't gotten all of my emails. So, why don't we just dive in to this week's episode of the show before the show. The Arizona Fall League underway. The minor league season has wrapped up, as we told you about last week, and they're already well into week 1+ now of the AFL. Sam, what is standing out to you in the Arizona Fall League this week as we open up strike one on our three strikes opening segment?
Yeah, so now that the AFL has started so quickly, we got right into it after last week's AAA National Championship game. We can start talking about how guys are actually doing. It's only 1 week. I'm basically only going to focus on some hitters here because for the most part, pitchers, if their starters have only made 1 or 2 starts, not really much to take out of that. Hitters at least have appeared in maybe 4, 5, even 6 games so far. So a little bit easier to stand out on the hitting side than on the pitching side so far. I'll start with Joey Bart, the San Francisco Giants catcher. Top prospect in that system, was one of the most hyped talents going to the AFL this year. He has certainly lived up to the billing in the first week. He was named the AFL Player of the Week. He homered twice in his AFL debut, which is a pretty good way to start a circuit in which you're trying to stand out amongst other talents. And as things stand right now, he's the leader in slugging percentage at .929. He's a leader in OPS at 1.529. He's walked 6 times in 5 games. He's homered twice, as I mentioned. He's got a double. Kind of doing all of the offensive things we expected out of him. One of the things that I was really excited about with Bart is he's playing on a Scottsdale team that now he'll get to work with multiple different pitchers. I think that's going to be good for his defensive outlook long term. When you got to know a lot of arms, there's going to come a time where you have to know a lot of major league arms as well. You got to work with many different repertoires and arsenals. How are you going to handle that? I think that's only going to help him getting to call games with different pitchers this year in the fall league. But to see him stand out offensively like this has been really interesting as well. Real quick, was actually written up in a feature this week by our friend Josh Jackson. Is Marcus Wilson, Red Sox outfielder, currently playing for Peoria. In Josh's story, he talks about how it was kind of, I think the word Marcus Wilson used, was very nomad-like. If you listen to the show during the season, we actually did an interview with Wilson in which he talked about moving from the D-backs to the Red Sox organization. After we had that conversation, he moved down from AA Portland to Class A Advanced Salem after a really rough start to the Boston system. Seemed to find his footing at Salem, came back at Portland, had a strong finish to the year. He's continuing that now in the fall league. So far in the fall league, he's gone 7 for 14 with a homer and a double. Hitting 500 over any stretch is going to be good. He's done that over his first 4 games. Strikeouts have been an issue for him in the past. He has struck out 4 times in 4 games, but he's also walked 3 times, stolen 2 bases, kind of showing all the skill set that he needs to by getting this invitation to the fall league. So it's kind of been interesting to see him stand out in that way. 2 other top 100 names I'll give a shout out to real quick. Royce Lewis, who we know had a difficult 2019. He moved up at one point from Class A Advanced to AA. Still couldn't quite get on solid ground. It seems like he was making a lot of adjustments during the year, trying to find out what worked. Things are at least clicking in the early going for him in the AFL. He has homered twice in 4 games for Salt River. Power is not going to be a huge part of his game, so don't expect him to lead the league in home runs by any means. But to see him connect that well this early is certainly encouraging. And one other one is Luis Garcia of the Washington National system. Garcia got pushed rather aggressively to AA Harrisburg this year. His numbers were really rough. He played 129 games there, hit only .257 with a .617 OPS. Turned things around a little bit in August, but he's doing that again, kind of continuing that trend so far in the fall league. He's played 6 games for Surprise, going 10 for 28 with a triple and 2 doubles and a stolen base. The OPS still isn't there. He's not going to be much of a big power hitter, but they still think he's very talented. They kind of gave him a sink or swim assignment to Harrisburg. Now he's getting challenged again to the AFL, which is basically akin to AA. We'll have to see how this kind of continues. But if he continues to be strong and continues hitting like he did more in 2018 than 2019, then that'll be a much more optimistic note to end the year on going into the offseason, with him likely headed back to AA next year.
Strike 2 this week. Sam had a fantastic toolshed piece, as if there is any other kind of toolshed piece, which was up evaluating balls, batting average on balls in play, or BABIP, or BABIP, which sounds like a 1990s video game sound effect. BABIP and top prospect, how batting average on balls in play impacted stat lines for top 100 prospects. Really interesting column that is up on the site right now. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, so BABIP, and I'm going to try to say BABIP. I know people have criticized me in the past for saying BABIP. It's more fun, but I'll stick to BABIP.
BABIP?
BABIP.
It sounds like something out of like the Super Nintendo Mario Brothers games.
I can see Yoshi making that noise. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm picturing. But anyway,
BABIP?
for BABIP, I do this story every year because I think it's gaining a little bit of popularity when guys take off in a certain direction, whether it's pitching or hitting. We start to think, okay, what's gone into this? And sometimes that's explained by balls in play. It used to be a while ago that people would look at BABIP in terms of luck. Were you getting lucky on balls that were hit right to fielders, or were you getting unlucky in that? If you're a pitcher, they were hit right to fielders. If you're a hitter, you're getting unlucky that they're hit right to fielders, that kind of thing. What is your luck factor? I think as we understand the statistic more, there are ways to control BABIP, especially on the hitting side. Pitching side, not as much, but especially on the hitting side. So you look at the leaders in BABIP this year for top 100 prospects, and the far and away leader this year was Drew Waters, the Atlanta Braves prospect. Spent the year at AA Mississippi and AAA Gwinnett. Waters isn't much of a power hitter. He only hit 7 home runs this year out of 163 hits. So the guy's putting a lot of balls in play. So what happened when that happened? 43.5% of them fell in for hits. That is a lot. That not only leads top 100 prospects, it was the highest in all of the minor leagues. Now, why did that happen? Was it just him getting lucky? When it's that extreme, yes, there is some luck involved for sure. But he's also somebody who doesn't put the ball in play in ways that it makes it easier to catch. His fly ball rate was just 27.6%, which is not very high at all. He's more of a line drive guy, putting that 26.2% of the time. Then he's hitting the ball on the ground. He's got plus speed, so he's going to be able to pick up some hits by either forcing fielders to field it earlier than they would have expected and making errant throws that get counted as hits, or beating out the throw itself, picking up singles here and there. He's able to do that. So Waters is probably a guy going forward, if he continues this batted ball trend, who can put up high BABIPs in the upper minors going into the majors potentially in 2020. Number 2 on that list was Gavin Lux. And just to give you an idea of how big the gulf is between Drew Waters and Gavin Lux, Waters was 435, his BABIP. Gavin Lux was 398. That is huge between first and second place, because third place is Julio Rodriguez at 391, which is about as we would expect. So Waters is just running away in this category. And again, I do think some luck is involved there, but he is somebody who's going to be able to hit for a high average because of the way he puts the ball in play. It allows his skills to take over from there, specifically when it comes to speed. Lux is not necessarily a speed guy. He's not going to pick up hits that way, but as we saw this year at AA Tulsa, at AAA Oklahoma City, and now in the majors, the guy makes extremely hard contact left and right. Now, how much of this had to do with him moving to AAA and playing with the new ball there, and it seems like it's easier to make harder contact with that ball. I'm sure part of that had to do with it. We actually saw BABIP go up this year at AAA. It was at 317 in 2018. It was 324 in 2019. Could that be a little bit of statistical noise? Yes, but I do think a good amount of that is tied in with the new ball. Lux, his BABIP was 451 in 49 games with AAA Oklahoma City. That is an absurd stat. That has a lot of luck to do with it, but the guy was also hitting extra base hits. That is not lucky. You don't get doubles, triples, and home runs. Home runs don't count towards BABIP, but you don't get that level of extra base hits out of just missing a glove here and there. So we'll have to keep an eye on that for Lux going forward. In terms of pitchers, this is more from the unlucky side. Forrest Whitley was top in this category amongst top 100 prospects with at least 50 innings pitched. His BABIP this year was 364. Not a huge surprise if you've been following Whitley's season at all. The guy just got shellacked at AAA Round Rock when he started the year there. Tried to build it back up. Was overcoming a shoulder injury. Was making several rehab starts up the chain, but he had a 400 BABIP against in AAA alone during his stay there through the first couple months of the season. And I don't think that is just, hey, his fielders weren't getting to balls. Again, you look at some of the he gave up 35 hits. 20 of those were for extra bases. The guy was giving up a lot of hard contact, was not what we were expecting out of him coming into the year. So you look at his 7.99 ERA, and given what his BABIP was, it probably should have been lower. I'm going to be doing a story later down the line about fielding independent pitching, or FIP, which will show that Whitley's ERA was probably a little too high anyways, but it still wasn't great. Given the amount of hard contact he was giving up, we could have expected a high BABIP out of him, and that's exactly what we got. Number 2 is Davy Garcia. Garcia this year was kind of a breakout prospect. He struck out 165 over 111 innings, did a lot of really good things as he climbed up three levels in the Yankees system. To see him give up this high of a number, part of that I think is a little bit about luck. He fluctuated wildly. He's not exactly somebody who has been consistent with his BABIP numbers. Last year was actually 288. This year is 352. I think going forward, we can expect somebody who's going to have a lower ERA than his 4.28. Where that kind of settles in at over the long term, pitchers usually take a longer period for their BABIP to sustain at a certain level and a certain average. So the fact that it varied so wildly this year is interesting and something to look at as he deepens his career. But for Garcia, it all comes down to strikeouts. Those aren't balls in play. I think that's a bigger deal for him than anything about looking at his ERA or looking at his batting average against, which was still a respectable 228 because the strikeouts were so high. So you can check out the rest of the column. There's some other notes on guys like Joe Adell, Daniel Lynch, Mitch Keller on here. But yeah, we're going to be rolling out a couple of advanced stats stories here in the next couple weeks as we continue to look back on the 2019 season.
BABIP.
Yep. That should be our transition music going forward, I think. It's just
BABIP.
And into the next segment.
Just repeating it nonstop. With a season behind us now, we are checking out some of the top performances at each level in the 2019 season. And we've got a few stories already out there. Class A short season, rookie advanced, and Class A full season, I know, arriving onto the site this week as well. But Sam, the top prospects, the top performances that stood out at these levels are heads of the class series in 2019 getting rolling.
Yeah, so this is kind of a fun series we've started this year. We did it at the halfway point of the season. We called it Head of the Class, looking at each level and who's been the standout for the first half of the season as a hitter, as a pitcher, as a team, best moment, stuff like that. So check this out as we start to roll it out. As Tyler mentioned, we've got rookie advance so far. We've got short season, and we've got full season. Tyler will actually be doing AA. We'll be doing more on the upper levels next week. So keep checking back on the site about that stuff. But starting here in the lower levels with rookie advanced and short season. For most exciting hitter, Andrew Bataferrano did this for us. He had Jeremiah Jackson, who, if you followed the Pioneer League at all this year, he was the standout hitter. He tied the Pioneer League record with 23 homers, led the league with 60 RBIs, slugged .605. Did that, coming into his, not a first full season, I won't say that, but because it was the Pioneer League, it is a short season league. But he was a second round pick in 2018, had an off season to prepare. To show off this power production already is really impressive. And as we mentioned, tying the Pioneer League record, nobody else except for one other person had done this before. His power is going to be something to watch. Is he necessarily a top 100 prospect yet? No, but I do think we are going to be paying attention to him more heading into 2020 than we may have otherwise done so. Sticking it in rookie advance, the most exciting pitcher, Mitch Stallings was a 30th round pick out of Duke last year, so he does have a college pedigree. I get that. Probably a little too old for the level, but still was really, really good in the Brave system at rookie advance Danville. Had a 2.25 ERA, 69 strikeouts, a 1.14 WHIP. 4 of his outings were scoreless. He struck out 11 twice in 2 separate starts. 30th round picks, they need to do something to stand out because they are going to be cut very quickly. So just for Stallings to already do this in his career with Danville is especially exciting for him. Over on the short season side, Mike Avalone did this one for us. for short season clubs. We had the most exciting hitter was Franklin Labor. He's the 20th ranked prospect right now in the Giants system. He batted .307, .392, .639 with 25 extra base hits. He led the Northwest League with 14 homers in 41 games. Signed out of the Dominican Republic in 2015, so he's been around, pro ball for a little bit of time, but he's just getting used to the United States playing here to show off that power like he did for Salem Kaiser is really exciting. We'll be keeping eyes on that one. Also sticking in the Northwest League, D-backs number 15 prospect Luis Frias, we named as our most exciting pitcher. He actually signed as a third baseman initially, but they've made him into a pitcher. He made 16 starts this year between Hillsborough and Kane County. We'll kind of focus on Hillsborough right here. He had 1.99 ERA there with 72 strikeouts in 49 and 2/3 innings, certainly showing the stuff. This was his age 21 season, so he's going to need to be tested out a little bit more. He was tested out at Kane County with 6 starts there at the end of the year, but still struck out 29 and 26 and 2/3 innings. So when we look at kind of the full breadth of these short season leagues, these are chances for guys who kind of got left behind at the beginning of the year, got held back at extended spring training. Once they made it out to a complex or out of the complex and out to an actual affiliate, really stood out and really took off, especially that Hillsborough team. I think that Hillsborough team, we mentioned Luis Frias, but a lot of exciting things to watch from that club in particular. Christian Robinson was there for a while before he got promoted. They won their 3rd championship at the end of the year in the Northwest League. 2019 third-round pick Tristan English was an offensive standout. The D-back system, I think, is on the way up right now. We've seen some breakout prospects from them this year, Robinson being one of them, Alec Thomas, who has been on the podcast before, another one. But to see them get the success at the lower levels is really building the foundation that the D-backs need to take that next jump from the farm system. And hopefully they can carry that forward. Corbin Carroll played for the Hops down the stretch, going back to his native Northwest. What can he do? How big of a piece is he going to be? But at least the foundation is pretty strong in that Arizona system.
And strike 3 this week, our final strike on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show, is in the books, and we are wrapping this one up. I was looking at wait a second, we already talked about this one. For some reason, I thought we still had a topic to get to, and we don't. I've got 2% of a functioning brain left. It's like if you had to get the number of a phone battery charge, I'm right now, you're looking at oh God, we got to find an outlet for him. That's me at the moment.
I was going to say, do they count differently in Italy? I was very confused.
Strike 3 is done. It's done, Sam. We already did strikes 1, 2, and 3.
We did.
We're done. Coming up, our interview segment, this week's episode of the Show Before the Show.
We're joined this week on the Minor League Baseball podcast, the Show Before the Show, by number 5 Red Sox prospect and current Arizona Fall League participant, Tanner Houck. Tanner, how are you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for joining us. So let's go through your Fall League experience so far. It's been 1 week. What is it like to get down there, mix it up with guys who are not Red Sox prospects, obviously, and start getting involved in the Fall League?
It's been a great week so far. Kind of going through the learning of all the new teammates and everything like that. But it's been a fun experience so far, getting to experience getting a new group of guys, getting to compete with them at a high level every day.
Yeah, and what's something you do when you do get integrated into a new team like this? It's one thing going from AA Portland to AAA Pawtucket, where there's some guys you might know there, to now you're on a team with prospects from all over. How do you kind of assimilate yourself into that? What's the first thing you do to try to get to know your teammates?
You gotta kind of put yourself in an uncomfortable position to get comfortable. You got to be willing to put yourself out there, meet new people, talk to everyone. You got to build a bond with these guys. We're only here for, I think it's 6 weeks. And it's a short time to have a team come together. But I mean, it's one of those things that you gotta, kind of throw yourself out there and get yourself, put yourself in uncomfortable situations to make yourself comfortable with them.
And especially as a pitcher, you're working with catchers that you've never worked before. You kind of have to teach them your arsenal, and we'll talk a little bit about your arsenal in a little bit. But how do you kind of ease that process? How do you introduce yourself to a catcher you're working with for the first time?
I'm a big fan of being able to throw them in a bullpen session first, and then really being able to communicate with them just by sitting down and speaking to them, and then just continuing to build that relationship. Eventually, they'll learn. From what I've been around here so far, they're picking it up very quickly. But it's been, it's definitely a different experience going to a completely new catcher who might not have ever seen you, especially, during spring training. You might be able to have, a bunch of different guys catch you, and any one of them might be able to be the guy that, wherever you're at, catches your game in the future. But here it's kind of, all right, you got one bullpen session, there you go. And then it's really just building that consistency and learning process.
And at what point in the season did you find out that the Sox wanted you to go to the Fall League? What were those initial discussions like about this particular assignment?
It was towards the end of the season. It was, I believe, like a week or two after kind of the schedule came out in the initial rosters. Whenever I found out, I was super excited. I think it was a great honor to be out here and continuing to play. It's a premier show league. You got a lot of very high talented individuals out here, and it's very competitive. So to know I was going to come here was a true honor.
And one of the things that stands out about your trip to the Fall League is when you moved up from AA Portland to AAA Pawtucket, you moved into a relief role. So far, you've made 2 appearances in the Fall League. They've both been starts. What is it like ramping up again to getting the ball first and working out of that role again after relieving there for a couple months with the Paw Sox?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit different role. It comes with its own set of challenges as well as, relieving has its own set of challenges. Building the pitch count back up was obviously the priority number one. Being able to throw I think it's like 60-ish pitches is where I've been kind of capped at my first 2 starts. So building that back up has been kind of its own beast a little bit. Whenever I went into the pen, it was 1 inning of, I'm maybe throwing 20 pitches, 25 pitches, something like that. So it's definitely a little bit different, going like up and down, 3-4 innings, whatever it is.
And how do you kind of approach this move back to the starting role? Because it felt like they moved you to relief with the Paw Sox with the idea of maybe helping out the Major League bullpen there at the end of the stretch run. Instead, you're now becoming a starter again. Is this kind of like a second chance at being a starter? I mean, what kind of instructions do they give you about moving your role so many times in 2019?
They've told me that they want me to continue to start. Coming out here was just a way to help build my inning count. I believe I ended the regular season at 107 innings. Whenever I'd gotten converted from a starter to reliever, I believe I was at like 80-something innings. And that was with, I believe, about 2.5 months left, I believe. I think it was right before the All-Star break. But due to that, and not, reaching a kind of a full season's worth of innings in terms of a starter of, maybe getting to the 120, 130, 140 range. They wanted me to come back out here and be able to get more innings and continuing to build it.
And just to provide those numbers for people at home, you are right. You did throw 107 2/3 innings this year. You threw 119 last year at Class A Advanced Salem. Let's kind of get into the nuts and bolts of who you are as a pitcher, because you were taken in the first round in 2017 out of Missouri. You were kind of known back then as a two-seamer slider guy. It sounds like the Sox added in a four-seamer and a curveball with you, and then, like most starting pitchers, trying to develop a changeup. Talk to us about the development of your pitches, because more than anybody I've followed the last couple of years, it seems like the weapons you're using is constantly in flux. What gains do you feel like you've made this year, particularly when it comes to what pitches you are using on a regular basis?
Yeah, I'll be the first one to admit, in college I was a two-pitch pitcher. If you looked at me back then, it was definitely, I mean, looking back at it now, it just screams like destined for the bullpen type of guy. Fastball, slider, didn't really flash a changeup, maybe more than once every like 6 outings. But the thing that has been beneficial for here is I have the two seam still. I have a four seam. The slider I've continued to develop and sharpen, and then the changeup, especially being out here in the fall league, has been my big vision for continuing to develop that pitch and get more work with that. But those are the four that I stick with on a regular basis. It's what I threw all of 2019 and 2018. The slider shape has changed a little bit from 2018 to now. In 2018, I held the spike, and then due to kind of like the arm slot and everything like that, we kind of realized, well, that's not actually the best pitch for you or for me, because it just like there's too many like perfect timings that have to happen for it to be repeatable every single time. So switched up the grip a little bit and found a more consistent grip, and due to that, it became sharper, became harder, became later. And then with the four seam, I mean, that's a pitch that I've really worked at too, trying to almost take away my natural ability to be able to sink and run the ball. So being able to do that has been a learning curve on its own. Being able to throw that ball inside the right-handers, inside the left-handers, and especially at the top of the zone with the way this game's transitioning, you need to be able to do that. And then the changeup is the pitch that I'm still continuing to develop. While I've been out here, I've thrown it, I think, I want to say 20 times in my first 2 outings. And it's one of those things that I'm continuing to develop it, and I see more flashes of it being good pitch now than I did a year ago. So both of those, I mean, that's a very big positive for me.
And when you talk about that changeup and developing it, I know a lot of people say it's just throwing it and getting comfortable with it, but what is going into that development? I mean, what are you doing differently with it now than, I know you, like you said, you basically didn't use it in college and you're starting to get comfortable with it, but what does that development look like? Is it a grip thing? Is it a throwing motion thing? What do you do to get that to a point where maybe someday it could be on the level of your two-seamer or your slider?
It's really just throwing it and continuing to build confidence with it. I tend to leak my front side and kind of leak my entire body by falling forward with the pitch, trying to like kind of pull the parachute with it by flying open, and it's like kind of like just, you know, drifting forward a little bit sometimes by trying to take that velo off. But I've gotten really a lot more confidence with it in terms of knowing and trusting that the grip and just me continuing to just throw it whenever it'll I see more benefits of doing it that way. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care what, what like a TrackMan says or anything like that right now. It's just one of those things. I just need to throw it and build a confidence with it, and throw it for essentially competitive strikes, whether it's in the zone or, even if I miss, down in the zone. If I'm bouncing it just behind home plate, all right, I'm okay with that pitch. You can't get beat with that pitch. Can't do damage to that pitch. It's over the zone, out of the hand. Just trying to continuing to make it look like a fastball.
And let's talk a little bit more about that whole dichotomy of your two-seamer versus your four-seamer. Being a two-seam guy, like you said, that your fastball kind of has a natural movement to it. And I'm interested in how that developed to begin with. But in terms of adding back the four-seamer, I think most people know that four-seamer is straighter. There's a little bit more velo behind it. But what does it add to your game to have that now combined with the two-seamer, which is maybe a little bit less velo but more movement, tougher to guess where it's going to go? What is it like to have those two types of fastballs and develop them at the same time?
It's definitely a little bit different in terms of developing them and continuing to throw them. There's definitely different spots to throw each individual one. Whenever I got a righty up, I prefer to go to the two seam. That pitch just running in on their hands at knee level, I think it's a very tough pitch for people to handle. But then, you also get the four seam that whenever need to can kind of go at that top of the zone, like I was saying, or glove side with the two seam. There's such a fine line of whenever you're trying to go glove side with it, it's like, well, if I don't get it there, that pitch is leaking right back over the middle of the plate, and those pitches usually get hit very far. But it's one of those things that the four seam is traditionally a little bit straighter. So due to that, being able to go glove side up and into a right-handed hitter, so arm side, is very key. And then the two seam, I've continued to try and work on getting that pitch to where I can throw it arm side, to where it starts off a little bit of the plate and then comes back right on the black. And then continue to work that pitch down in the zone into right-handed hitters. It's definitely a little bit of a development thing. You have to learn to set your eyes and pick your spots with the pitch. Very particular with the two seam. I'm gonna envision, I'm gonna start it a little bit more like middle of the dish. If I'm going into a right-handed hitter, that way I can trust that it's going to come back inside and let that natural run happen. If I'm going to go into the right-handed hitter with the four seam, well, okay, I can envision actually like a little bit more of the inner third than setting up down the middle of that, because I know it's going to be straighter and stay on that trajectory a little bit better.
And in terms of roles, as somebody who has now done both, you started, you've relieved, you're starting again. What is it? How is just your day-to-day different, or even personality-wise different, when you know you're going to be pitching every fifth or every sixth day versus coming to the ballpark every day, not necessarily knowing if it's going to be a throw day or not because you're working out of the bullpen? What is it just like as a person going through that role switches and working in both of those roles?
Personally, I love it. I think it's been a very fun experience for me, getting to kind of see both sides of the coin. Up until this year, I'd always started. I never came out of the pen, so that was definitely a new thing, getting to experience that role. But it was very like fun, very, very. I learned a lot from it. it was a good feeling knowing like every day, like I can show up to the field and have that, like, okay, like I could pitch today. Like, yeah, like it's a very like cool and fun getting to experience that feeling. And starting, you only get to truly know that like every 5 days, like, yeah, today's my day. But I mean, I think they both have their big advantages. For me, at least, I thought it was I enjoyed the not knowing of like, oh, I could throw today whenever I was in the pen. But then it's also a very prideful thing for me to be a starter and knowing that every 5th day is my day, and I want to go out there and give it my all and give it my best. Because I know I'm not going to get to throw for another 5 days, so it's kind of lay it all out on the line.
And when we look at your 2019, you're somebody who we mentioned pitched at AA, you pitched at AAA. Those are in Portland and Pawtucket, respectively, both New England places. Now you're ending up at the Arizona Fall League. What was your kind of welcome to the upper minors moment when you felt like, okay, I am really close to the majors. This is closing in real quick. When did that kind of sink in for you this year?
I honestly, it was getting to experience being around Darwinson Hernandez get called up from AA this year. We had played together in Salem. We've built a friendship over the past few years. And then also getting to be with him this year in Portland for a while before he's with the big club. Getting to see that was definitely kind of like a surreal moment of like, yeah, like we're 1 step, 2 steps away from getting that call. And then also going up to AAA and being around a bunch of guys that have some showtime is another like surreal thing. It's definitely a big like, whoa, like you're right there. like we're actually like 1 step away right now. It was amazing getting to be around like kind of both those environments. And those, I mean, were definitely like the moments of like, wow, like, yeah, we're close. Like I'm close.
And now that you are at the Fall League, you're facing a lot of guys who are close and closing in on the major leagues. I'm sure a lot of top talents that you were at least aware of beforehand, but maybe you've never seen. When you knew the rosters were coming out, who is somebody you kind of circled and saying, here's a batter I would really like to face down in Arizona?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, this is a very top of the line league. It's very hard to point out one individual of like, oh, I want to face them. I mean, if I could, I want to go and face everyone at least once, and just kind of, here's my best stuff. Go out there and try and hit it. So for me personally, it's hard to just single out one individual guy. I want to face everyone and put all my cards on the table.
I mean, I think that's a pretty good answer. Tanner Houck versus the world is also a fun way of looking at it.
Yeah.
We'll end on kind of 2 fun ones here for you. You're a Missouri alum. We actually have a Missouri alum here on staff, MILB.com's Kelsey Hennigan. So when I asked her, what should I ask you about Missouri and your experience there, this is the question she came up with. What is your favorite meal that you miss most in Columbia? Is it Shakespeare's, Heidelberg, or Booch's? And I assume that means things to you because it doesn't mean anything to me. But what is your answer to that?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, if you ever are in Columbia, I mean, they take very big pride on Shakespeare's pizza. I mean, it is like I think they have like 3 or 4 different locations in Columbia now. So I mean, and like it's just hard to go with like, it's hard to go like wrong with like going with like the local place of like that they take a lot of pride of. It was actually one of the first meals I ever had whenever I was in high school and visited Columbia for a baseball tournament. Everyone was like, "Oh, you got to go to Shakespeare's," and so it was like our lunch or whatever for that day. So it was literally the first meal I had in Columbia.
All right, fair enough. What is it about that pizza that's weird or different or like stand out in any way?
I really don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with the environment. I mean, they sit there and make it right in front of your face, and I'm a huge fan of that. I like watching them. I think it's fascinating, seeing them make the pizza, and all of a sudden it just, comes right to your table. It's just a different environment, I would say.
Okay. All right. So we'll end on this one then. You are somebody from Collinsville, Illinois, which if people just hear, they might assume that's Cubs or White Sox territory being Illinois, but it's actually just outside St. Louis. As somebody who grew up in kind of like the three corners of baseball, having the Cardinals so close and obviously being in the state of the Cubs, what did you learn about being that close to a rivalry? And now you're close to participating in another one yourself between the Red Sox and Yankees. How do these kind of compare what you grew up in and what you could be in very soon between the Cubs and Cards and Red Sox and Yanks?
Yeah, that is. I mean, the Cubs and Cardinals. It is a very well-known rivalry. It is it's a very big rivalry. So I mean, you always knew whenever the Cubs came into town to St. Louis. I mean, and you knew it in the streets because I mean, you'd see all the Cubs fans walking around in their blue jerseys. And then, like, you could just see the Cardinals fans, like, dogging them the entire time. And they would just bicker back and forth. I mean, I remember going to the Cubs-Cardinals games in the Old Busch Stadium and in Wrigley. And then just how much there was just so much bicker back and forth between all the fans. And it's two very passionate towns. That love their baseball more than anything, and that's what it is for the Red Sox and Yankees. They both, all 4 of them, love their baseball more than anything, and they want to see their team win. And so, whenever you get a rivalry going, and you got 2 big teams that their town wants them to win, well, all right, there's going to be some fireworks. It's truly a fun thing to watch and be a part of.
And how easy was it to talk your family into going from their fandom to becoming Red Sox fans once you signed and made everything official?
Oh, I think they hopped on board really, really quick. They never were specific team oriented. They loved the game of baseball because I loved the game of baseball. I had fallen in love with it, and then they kind of followed suit with it. And so they're more just baseball crazy. My mom she'll call me and be like, "Oh my God, I'm just so happy that like the season's finally going again." She's like, "I'm baseball depressed." I'm like, "Mom, like it's been like 2 months." She's like, "I know, but there's just like nothing else to do when there's no baseball." I'm like, "Okay." I mean, there's always some sort of game going on in my house. And I mean, my mom will call me all the time and be like, "Did you hear about so-and-so? Did you hear about this?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Mom, I hear all the same stuff you do." And she's like, "Yeah, but I'm just double checking." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "I heard it. You don't need to worry." I mean, they just want to see me succeed and be happy. So I mean. And if it's with the Red Sox, I mean, they are more than willing to hop on board and be a part of it. We've all been out to Boston and been able to walk around and explore there, and they love the city of Boston. It is a very it was a new experience. None of us had ever actually been to Boston before I was drafted to Boston. So getting to kind of go there and say it's like our adopted home has been it's been fun for sure. It's been a great experience.
I think that's a good baseball mom story to leave it off on. We should always end podcast interviews with baseball mom stories, I think, from now on.
Oh, yeah. There's hundreds of them. I mean, if you ever got time, I mean, we can go into depth on long car rides during high school summer ball.
All right, well, maybe we'll have to save that for next time you're on. But Tanner Houck, thanks so much for joining us. Best of luck down there in the fall league and going into the off season. And thanks so much again for taking the time.
Thank you very much.
Segment number 3 of every week's edition of the show before the show, generally, not every week, I guess, that was probably a lie, but most segments number 3 are in which we are joined by one Benjamin Hill, who joins us today from El Paso, Texas. I would like to pretend like I know what has been going on in your life, Ben, but I don't, and I'm sorry it's been so long. How are you?
Hey, it's all right. I've missed talking to you, Tyler. I know we both had a lot going on, but
but
we'll catch up for sure.
We'll catch up.
Yeah, we're traveling men. But yes, I am in El Paso, home of the El Paso Chihuahuas, and also home of the 2019 Minor League Baseball Innovators Summit, which up until this year was known as the promotional seminar. But in that minor league baseball way, it's been rebranded.
It's the way of the world of minor league baseball, and we know the Innovator Summit, which used to be, kind of its own concept of one thing in the promo seminar, and now has taken on a bigger identity as the Innovator Summit. Tell us about this year. It's an event that moves around every year. It's sort of the official, I guess, close to a season's festivities of minor league baseball. The winter meetings are kind of like the unofficial kickoff of the next year of minor league baseball. This is sort of like the epilogue to a season. So tell us about this year's in El Paso.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. As you guys know, and as most listeners know, the minor league baseball season just recently ended. So the Innovator Summit is an annual event, and it's kind of an epilogue, kind of a post-mortem for the season in which teams, I believe there's representatives from 90 minor league teams here this year, over 500 people. Yeah, it's a different minor league city every year, but you come to the promotional seminar, now the Innovator Summit, and you talk about what you did during the year, what worked, what didn't, share ideas. There's all sorts, over the course of 4 days, social events, all sorts of different lectures and workshops broken down categorically, depending on, what your front office role is, whether it's promotions or operations or community relations. So there's all sorts of stuff going on. But this event its history goes back to 1977 when Jim Paul, who was then the owner and operator of the El Paso Diablos, he just kind of had the idea for this event, and initially it was just him and a couple dudes just kind of having a BS session to kind of process a season that was. And then that grew from 4 people to 8 to 12 to 30, and eventually got too big for him to organize. He sold it to minor league baseball. It became the promotional seminar. It grew and grew and grew over the decades. And now with this rebranding, it has returned to El Paso as the Innovator Summit. And, Jim Paul, the man who started it, he still lives in El Paso, and he was here as a guest of honor. I got to interview him on Tuesday, I believe. The days do blur together. And he was also interviewed by on stage by Brad Taylor, who was the president of the El Paso Chihuahuas, the current team there. So it was interesting to talk to him and learn from him, about the sort of promotional strategies of 1977 as compared to today and the kind of things he innovated. And that's why the event is in El Paso this year, because with the new direction being called the Innovator Summit, they also want to go back to the past where it all began.
And in terms of what you've learned these last couple of days, what has kind of been the scuttlebutt of the Innovator Summit this year? What are some of the ideas you've heard passed around a lot?
Wow, the scuttlebutt. I love it, Sam. That's excellent. Well, there's been lots of scuttlebutt all over the place. In terms of specific things, I'm not sure what has been so recurring because it's so varied from presentation to presentation or topic to topic. Of course, and, I'm talking to you right after watching the Golden Bobblehead Award presentations. So those are always a big topic of conversation. The Golden Bobblehead Awards are in several categories for the best promotions in minor league baseball, and they really are coveted within minor league baseball. They are voted on by peers in the industry. So there's a lot of good nature back and forth on who should win the bobblehead, the Golden Bobblehead. A lot of one-upmanship in the presentations. I just saw a presentation in which the Myrtle Beach Pelicans. Hunter Hornstein from the Myrtle Beach Pelicans to promote their promotion, the Derby Eve promotion, in which they had a horse race on the warning track. He actually rode a horse on stage just now today, although it was a human dressed as a horse. But still, that kind of thing is going on. The Omaha Storm Chasers promoting that potholes promotion by bringing out cones and caution tape onto the stage, that kind of thing. So there's been a lot of talk about the best promotions, and those will be announced tonight at a ballpark gala at Southwest University Park, home of the El Paso Chihuahuas.
Ben, what's the mood kind of like at an event like this? Because it's the end of the season, everybody sort of, to go behind the curtain a little bit, once you get to the end of a minor league season, it's a long and exhausting period, and everybody kind of gets to that point where they're like, all right, this is fantastic. We don't have to worry about game days and all that stuff for a while. Like, do people kind of is there a letting loose in terms of, everybody gets to sort of break their walls down and share, here's what worked for us, here's what didn't. I know a lot of that goes on at the winter meetings, but what's the camaraderie like for people who are there for the Innovator Summit?
Yeah, there's a lot of camaraderie. There are group therapy sessions throughout the week, again, kind of divided into different categories. And those can get really raw in terms of teams kind of saying, just having a place to, people who work for the teams having a place to say, oh, man, how'd we get through the season? As you know, Tyler, working, in minor league baseball, working, as a broadcaster, it is just a relentless grind if you're in the front office. And so there's a lot of commiseration, a lot of kind of like, oh, man, I can't believe we got that, or I can't believe this thing went so off the rails, but it's, we still pulled it off. Kind of a lot of off-the-record stuff along those lines. And also, at the end of the season, and you're here to learn. You're here to, attend a lot of events. It is work, but it's also kind of a chance to get together and definitely blow off some steam. This is minor league baseball. There's social events every night that are kind of based around, drinking in open bars. And I think people really look forward to this event, even though it is work-related, to see other people in the industry and just kind of say, hey, we did it. Another year in the books, for better, for worse. And, okay, now let's start thinking about the next one. But first, let's have a drink.
And Ben, you got to give your own presentation this year, as you often do, this time at the Innovator Summit instead of the promo seminar. But when you gave that speech kind of to the entire industry, what points were you trying to make about how you would hope people would look at 2019 as they begin to plan 2020?
Well, for me, when I do these presentations, it's just an overview of my travels during the season. So there's not one theme of a message, but I do have, an industry audience to kind of say, hey, I saw this, or hey, this is something I'd like to see more of. So I do hope I can, in addition to getting away with a lot of, stupid jokes and puns, and, I try to keep it light, but I do try to share a lot of ideas of just little things I've seen throughout the year. And I hope, in that way, I can make an impact by just kind of transmitting some ideas that people might not have come across, and talking about going to Syracuse. I said, hey, Syracuse has a fan wall of fame, and they induct a new fan every year into, a fan wall of fame. And I think that's cool. A great way to honor your fans. That sort of thing. Sometimes it's really stupid. Like in Albuquerque, in the press box, they got popcorn every night with 7 different flavors of seasoning. Let's do that in more press boxes, because it's good to have popcorn every night. That kind of thing. No matter what it is, big and small and all over the place. And I'm always super nervous before the presentation. Last year, at least in my mind, I didn't think I did it too well. This year, return to form. I have to say, I nailed it. So congratulations to me.
That is a big congratulations to you. What was the contributing factor?
I don't know. The energy was right. Unbeknownst to me, I was given a Weird Al walk-up song, so I think that helped kind of give me a little confidence as I went up there. White and nerdy, one of Weird Al's greatest hits. But I just think I had the material, and I practiced it well enough to, I had like 120 slides in a 25-minute presentation. So I think I practiced it well enough where I had the segues down on the transitions. And, I think that's very important as well. And I'm just really glad it's over because now I feel, loose and free here in El Paso. And I do want to say, I went to Juarez last night. I walked to Juarez.
Wow.
And it was really easy and simple. Yeah, it was easy and it was simple and it seemed to me pretty safe. And I'm just kind of getting tired of talking about going to Juarez and having people be like, oh, man, be careful or don't get beheaded. I'm here to say that you can go to Juarez from El Paso, walk, and it's not a problem. And I just want to spread that message.
What was the food situation like? Did you eat there?
Yeah, I mean, we played at tourist. I went with a guy from the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, David Ratz. And, we played at tourist. I'm not saying, like, go to Juarez and just get in some crazy adventure. Who knows, But I'm just saying as a tourist, as someone who heard other people kind of stigmatize the idea of going to Juarez, it worked out pretty well. We just, crossed the border. On the way in, they don't look at anything. And we went to the Kentucky, an iconic bar that apparently invented the margarita way back when. And so we had a couple margaritas, got some chicken nachos, got out of there, walked further down the street for another 15, 20 minutes, and then turned back. And it was just like a fascinating, for someone in the Northeast such as myself, it was a fascinating cultural experience to walk across a bridge to Mexico and walk back. And I do want to promote that idea and have people, be a little less scared of even the idea of doing it.
I like it. Benjamin Hill breaking down borders and on the tweets at Ben's Biz. And you can check out everything Ben Hill at milb.com/Ben's Biz. And Ben, what else you got coming up? I don't know anything that's gone on or is going on. What is going on? What do you have going on?
I like that general question, Tyler. What is going on? I mean, I think on a certain level, we're all asking that. But yeah, I have a new article up today from the Innovator Summit, just recapping a few things I experienced. Probably some more material on that. Rebranding season is just around the corner, so we'll be jumping into that. And
do you have any idea how many you're going to be talking about for rebrands?
I don't have the exact number on me. Sam and I in the office have been privy. A handful, yeah. Sam and I in the office have been privy to some confidential information. We know things that we cannot divulge, but
under penalty
they're coming, and I think under penalty of death, yeah. And what a stupid way to die that would be, because you leaked a minor league team identity. But yeah, we got a lot of that, and I got some odds and ends from my road trip still left over, so I want to get everything out there that I haven't gotten out yet, and just roll through October, take a look back at the season that was, tie up all the loose ends, start covering rebrandings, and then hopefully take a vacation in November. But November seems very far away. It's still September.
That is true. He is Benjamin Hill, and you can find him on Twitter at Ben's Biz and milb.com/Ben's Biz. And enjoy the rest of the trip, man, and we'll see you back in New York and elsewhere very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Good talking to you guys here from El Paso, Texas. Great city. Come visit.
Before we wrap up this week's episode of the show, I just want to extend my biggest thanks to Sam for holding down the fort and doing by far the lion's share of the work on the last 4 episodes or whatever it is of the old podcast. And he's done a fantastic job as always, buddy, and I'm sure I've screwed up editing or posting or stuff, and I know the timelines have been weird and crazy, and you are all getting podcasts on like Saturday mornings, and we apologize to that. But big thanks to Sam. You're the king. That's why we do this, man.
Do I get like an honorific with that? Do I get called sir?
This is literally as good as it gets for you. This is you're stuck with me, and all I have is a verbal thank you.
I was gonna say that feels like the most American thing I can say is like, oh, that sounds nice. Do I get anything with this? Like, does this come with anything?
Nope, nothing at all. Sorry, you're stuck with it.
That's okay. It's a pleasure as always to work with you, Tyler, in whatever form that takes.
What a guy. Tell us about next week, what we got coming up. I'll be back in the country. Things will be great.
Yeah, no, it will be great. We're actually going to circle back next week with our friends Kelsey Hennigan and Josh Jackson, who have both been mentioned on this show this week already. As you might remember, we did kind of an opening day mega cast in which we made predictions and look forward to the 2019 season. Now we're going to go back and look at how we did, kind of review the season, but also review how our picks looked. What did we get right? What did we get wrong? Some of them still won't have figured out. As you might remember, we made Rookie of the Year picks. Those won't be official, but at least we can pretty much figure out who's going to win this year, I think, and review some of that. And it's always a good time to have them on and have the four of us going at it. So look forward to that next week as we get back more on a normal schedule.
And that will do it for this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. I'm going to go watch the El Camino Breaking Bad movie trailer from Netflix. And then it's like 8:30 in the evening here. I'm probably going to bed.
And then
exciting stuff.
Then you come back to North America where you belong.
I do. Tomorrow through like 19 different... I'll be in 4 countries tomorrow with way too many connections. Undoubtedly something will go horribly wrong, but I'll get to see my dog in relatively short order, and that is kind of all I care about at this stage.
So much like a content.
So much like a content coming all of your ways. That'll be fantastic. All right, everybody. He's Sam. I'm Tyler. We'll talk to you next week for a real back-in-business edition of the Show Before the Show podcast. Talk to you then.